Welcome in everybody to another episode of the Strength for Your Purpose podcast. Hope you all had a great week. I know I did. Back here with another incredible conversation. This one's been a long time coming. we've had a few things in life throw some curveballs at us, but I'm so excited to sit down with this week's guest and bring just another sort of inspiring story. You know, we talk a lot on this podcast about it's all about mental, emotional, and physical strength and building what we need there to fulfill our true purpose in life. And although sometimes we like to talk about things that can help your physical strength, mental strength, and emotional strength here on the podcast, we also like to share stories of people that are really out there fulfilling their true purpose in a way that's trickling down to other people, and how what we can learn from that, and what can be inspiring. And this week's guest is an example of that. So without further ado, I am pleased this week to be joined by Tim Winkler, who is the president and CEO of VIP Tires and Service. He has been with VIP since 2010 in a variety of different roles, including vice president of marketing and merchandising, the chief operating officer, and, as I said, the current president and CEO. And under Tim's leadership, VIP has been transformed from a discount retailer to a professional service provider by focusing on people rather than price. VIP invests in their people through a multitude of programs, including leadership training, P&L training, career pathing, certification achievement, team building, and many others. Tim, thank you so much for joining me here on the show.
Absolutely, Dr. Phil. I'm glad to be here and love talking about what we've done at VIP, and more importantly, helping people find their purpose and what you like to talk about on this podcast. It's I think it's a great fit.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, I'm really excited about it too, because as a lifelong Mainer, I've noticed those changes I've been in Maine again, like I said, my whole life. I'm 31 years old. So VIP's kind of always been around in Maine since I have been. And I've personally seen some of those changes, and the public opinion kind of switching on things a little bit too. So before we dive too much into that, because I definitely want to talk about some of the lessons we can draw from those changes that have been made here over the past a little over a decade since you've joined VIP. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Tim. How did where did your sort of career start, and what led you down this path that eventually got you to becoming president and CEO of a great kind of Maine and New England company here?
Sure, yeah. So I grew up in Oklahoma, and so in Oklahoma, had a great childhood, great parents, great family. I'm the oldest of four children. Quarterback of a small Catholic high school, so had some leadership lessons in high school. Went to college at University of Oklahoma, got an engineering degree, and started off my career as an engineer, but have always been in the automotive business in some way, shape, or form. So I worked for a couple different companies over about 20 years in Oklahoma. In the manufacturing area, ended up transitioning into more of a management role and a sales role. And funny story, VIP, back when VIP was in the auto parts business, they were a customer of ours, the last company I worked for. So I visited Maine several times as a vendor to VIP, got to know the owner, got to know a lot of the people at VIP. And one day back in 2010, the owner of VIP, who lives here in Maine, called me and had this crazy idea that I relocate my family, my wife and four kids and three dogs, from Oklahoma to Maine. And that was May of 2010. And so I joined VIP back then. And so, I guess from a career perspective, I really cut my teeth with a company right out of college who was very much cutting edge back in the 90s about investing in their people. And in fact, we were a manufacturing company. We had factories all over the country, and we had, big tractor trailers driving all over the country. The name of the company was Dana Corporation. One of the things I really remember was that every tractor trailer had the Dana logo, and under it said, "People finding a better way." And that was sort of the company's slogan, and they invested in people, and they were all about helping people find a better way. And so I cut my teeth in a culture like that, where they were great about investing in people. And so I've been able to really grow from that and just be able to build on that throughout my career.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And it doesn't seem like that would be too novel of an idea, or an idea that wouldn't work, right? But yeah, I mean, in a kind of corporate dog eat dog, capitalism environment, that can get lost sometimes in the spreadsheets, so to speak. So what was it specifically about VIP, aside from that you already had a bit of a relationship with the company and the owner with that other company you worked for, that that led you to decide to uproot that clan of people, your family, all those kids and all those
Yeah.
animals, and head north to Maine?
There were obviously a lot of factors go into that. First of all, my wife was open to it. If she had said no way, it wouldn't have happened.
The veto
We're a
power.
team. Yeah, veto power, especially. Yeah, we're a team. Um, I guess the two things are, number one, in my role back at that company, I was on the road a lot. I was flying every week, visiting customers all over North America. And VIP just happened to be one of those, but I was, all over the country, Canada, Mexico, you name it. So with four kids at home, that wasn't great, not being able to be home a lot with them. And secondly, I really kind of caught the vision from our owner at VIP. He's owned the company now for 21 years, but he's third generation in the tire and service business. But he bought the company from a family that had run it in a very different way. And the origins of VIP was all about discount. It was all about low price. They churned through people. They didn't pay much. They didn't invest in training, didn't do any of the things that we really have built the company on in the last 10 or 12 years.
Mm.
And our owner saw this sort of diamond in the rough and said, this company has great locations. They've got a well-known brand. Maybe it doesn't have the best reputation,
Mm.
but they're doing some things right. And is there something here we can build on? And he really had a vision to transform this company into a very professional, if not premium type of service company.
Mm.
And I bought into that. And so that was really right up the alley of what I wanted to do in terms of investing in people. I really felt his passion and his purpose in doing that, and wanting to help people build careers and have better lives as a result of their job at VIP. And so between those two things, and of course my family being open to it, we decided to take what we called our main adventure, and that was 12 and a half, almost 13 years ago.
Yeah. Wow. No, that's incredible. And the couple things kind of unpack there. One, the vision, and that vision of the owner it was powerful enough to, again, draw you from where you're at in a place, in a culture that you were comfortable in, and you like to take the leap and go try to make this happen. And number two, sort of the trickle down that's had over the years, because you mentioned reputation. I had mentioned earlier, lifelong Mainer, very familiar with VIP and what they have to offer. And yeah, I think reputation was a big thing. And I've noticed over the past, 5 or 6 years, that it's definitely gone from a place people are wary of, or a place that, when you'd share a story about stopping at VIP, someone would say, "Hey, be careful, I once had this happen," to it's hard to even just get an appointment at some of these locations. So the vision is clearly working. So I think another question that pops into my mind here is, well, two really. Number one, how quick was the shift in focus from sort of, to say this in broad strokes, profits and losses, and being a discount company? Was the focus more changing that philosophy, or was the focus initially really, let's invest in the employees and sort of the rest of that will come? Like, what was the big shift that you and the owner made that really kicked this off and got the ball rolling?
Yeah, that's great insight. So it really was an event, and so that event was at the end of 2012. So a couple years after I joined the company, we sold off the auto parts retail side of the business to O'Reilly Auto Parts. So as most of your listeners would know, if you drive by a VIP today in Maine, most of them are co-branded. There's an O'Reilly Auto Parts sign, there's a VIP Tires and Service sign, and if you go into one of our stores, it's a single entrance. It's all still wide open. But whereas we used to operate both the parts and the tires and service, we now only operate the tire and service side of the business. The auto parts side of the business is operated by a totally separate company. O'Reilly Auto Parts has 6,500 stores. They're a $15 billion Wall Street company. Of course, it's awesome having them as a tenant because
Yeah.
we own most of the buildings. So it's been a great partnership with them. But we sold the parts business and we're no longer having to worry about auto parts and all the retail and the industry and the inventory and the pricing and all that stuff. And we were able to just focus on being in the tire and service business. I remember, our owner and I were driving around that spring of 2013 as we were having to remodel all the stores to accommodate O'Reilly. And I remember telling him, one day, we're in the people business now. It's no longer about inventory and negotiating with vendors and pricing. We are 100% in the people business. And if we can hire and develop the best manager, the best assistants, the best technicians, the best tire changers, if we can have the best people, we're going to win. That's plain and simple. And so that was, 2013. That's 9 years ago, and it's been an extremely slow, churn of a process to really build that culture and really turn it 180 degrees. And you mentioned about how, most of our stores are really, really busy today, and we got tons of customers. We love them. We do a lot of things to, really build that customer loyalty. But I still, on a somewhat regular basis, run into somebody who's got a war story. Oh my gosh, you won't believe my VIP story. And I say, oh, you know what? I probably will.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of them. And, hopefully we're past all those days. And I'm really proud of the team we have today and the talent that we have in the company today. But it's been 180 degrees over the last 10 years to turn it around.
Yeah, no, that's incredible because I think to most people, if you pose that question like, "Hey, we just acquired this company," do you think we'd strengthen our ability to make more profit, or do you think we'd strip it down and make it the best it can be in more of a niche market? I think a lot of people, the average person, would probably just be like, "Well, why can't you do both?" Right? Or
Yeah,
but they already were trying to do both and spreading too thin, and it was taken away from the experience. So I think a lot can be learned from that. Just in our day-to-day lives, focusing on what we can be really, really good at, right? Can go a long way, and feeding that can go a long way.
100%. A couple things that come to mind is, first of all, you think about selling auto parts and then installing parts and fixing cars and tires. You think, oh man, those are so similar. But if you really break it down from a consumer standpoint, they're very, very different. You've got a parts side of the business where your primary customers are do-it-yourselfers who love working on their cars. But let's be frank, most of them work on their cars to save money because auto repair by a professional shop is not cheap. And
Right.
you can go buy the part you need for $100 and spend a few hours on a Saturday or whatever, and assuming you diagnosed it right, and you can get it repaired on your own, in your backyard, or it's going to cost you a few $100 or more to have a professional do it at any shop, whether it's VIP or one of our competitors. So there's a lot of people on the parts side of the business who shop there because, number one, it's all about inventory. Who can have the most inventory? If everybody's got the same part that you're looking for, then it's about who's got the lowest price.
Right.
So it becomes a supply chain and a volume type of strategy. You have to be the biggest because you have to be able to negotiate the best programs to put the most inventory in and to invest in all that inventory. On the tires and service side, there's a reason that part of our industry has not consolidated very much at all. It is still very much populated by very small mom and pop or small regional companies like us because it's not about scale. Just because you have scale doesn't mean you do better. In fact,
Right.
it's harder. It's harder because you got to invest in your people. And that's really the decision that came down for us when we made that change in our mindset, and the change in the business model is we are now if we're in the people business, then that's all we've got to do is invest in our people. And
Mhm.
instead of, like you said it earlier, spreadsheets, instead of looking at expenses, well, how can we cut expenses, right?
Mm.
Let's go make more profits by trying to reduce expenses. That's not at all the game plan for
Mm.
VIP. Our game plan is, how do we build value? How do we help people love their jobs? How do we help people get
Mm.
ahead, build a career, get certified? And we know that when they do that and they really enjoy what they do, they're going to take great care of customers, and the
Mm.
business is going to flourish, and it's going to be a win-win for everybody.
Yeah. That's fantastic. I'm glad you brought up those points, because it makes total sense that in investing in your employees to get different certifications and kind of grow within their field, and as you said, build a career for themselves, whether it is ultimately with you long term or not. You're still providing them with all those incredible opportunities. And you somewhat answered this already, but my other big question for you, obviously that's going to translate into better customer service, right? A higher, more success rate, and people no longer having the war stories, and some
Yeah,
of those other things we've already talked about. But what have you seen that investment do for your employees, not just for their ability to do their job and build a career and just be happy, but has that return on that investment come back into the business in other ways that maybe you weren't expecting?
absolutely. I can tell you it's been, life changing, transforming for so many of our employees. This idea that they're now working for a company that invests in them, that is building a culture where, we want people to come to work and really know that we've got their back. That's one of our favorite terms in the company is, hey, we've got your back.
Mm.
And when COVID hit, we didn't do any layoffs, no furloughs, didn't cut anybody's pay,
Wow.
kept everybody whole. I mean, that was extremely rare within our industry, even though we were an essential business. So, our turnover is way down. We don't have near as many people leaving the company as used to be in years past. But the best part for me is, we have these meetings every year. We call the all associates meetings, and our owner, myself, our whole senior management team, we do an employee survey in January of all of our employees, kind of an employee satisfaction survey. It's 25 or 30 questions about different various areas of the business, and kind of gaining their sentiment on things. And
Mm.
then we spend pretty much, for the last 9 years, we spend the whole month of February traveling around to different regions where we have stores, and we meet with every employee in groups of about 15 at a time for about 3 hours. And what we do is we cover some communication points, but more than anything, we're asking them, hey, what do you think we should do to get better? How can we become a better company that makes it a better place for you to work and improves your satisfaction as an employee here at the company? And, we've got so many employees now who've been with us, 5, 8, 10, 12, 15 years.
Mm.
And I love hearing their stories, because they talk about the transformation that they've seen right before their eyes. And not just that, we have so many other stories of, kids, I'll call them, who started off as an 18-year-old out of high school, changing tires, making, back then $8 or $9 an hour, $10 an hour.
Yeah.
And now they're a master technician making six figures, driving a new truck. They've got a family and kids, and
Wow.
they've done all that, through their own hard work and their sweat. But because we were able to create an environment that allowed them to thrive and learn and
Mm.
become a master of their craft. So
Mm.
when I get to go out and visit stores and get to meet so many of our great people, I just love, being able to talk to them and, be able to say, you know what, I remember when you were, this kid who just came out of high school, and here you are, look at you, you're grown up, you got a family, and
Yeah.
everything. It's just, it's super rewarding to see those career stories.
Yeah. That's fantastic. And I just think it's a great lesson for everybody, because uh, again, part of what we wanted to touch on here is that mental, emotional, and physical strength. And you know the- I think a big message here is nowadays there are options out there for pretty much anyone in any field right now, right? Like everyone needs help. Everyone, needs good people and people that they're going to take good care of. And if you're a company out there right now that is losing people to other companies who are just straight up offering things that you aren't, you're going to be behind the eight ball. So the fact that you all figured this out back before that became the trend, where people are no longer staying at jobs until they absolutely can't anymore, and they're just miserable. And you not only that, but that's now trickled down to a much less stressful experience, because obviously, tire repair and mechanical issues can be pretty stressful for the
Yeah.
consumer in a lot of different ways. So yeah, the trickle down effect of this major pivot that you all made back in 2010 2012 is pretty apparent across the board.
Well, and you touched on it there a little bit. I tell our people all the time in our meetings, especially with our managers, you know, we're changing lives. And
Mm,
I don't think that's an overstatement. I talk to so many customers who talk about the fact that auto repair is extremely stressful. If
mm,
you don't have somebody that you trust,
yeah,
to take
yeah,
your car to, then this becomes a huge area of anxiety and stress. And oh my gosh, I'm afraid they're going to try to, sell me something I don't need and spend too much money. And am I really getting a good deal? And when our teams, are executing our process and they build those relationships with our customers, and they really are getting to know our customers as people, and our customers are getting to know our employees as people. And when
mm,
you build that relationship and you trust each other, our customers tell us all the time. I mean, we get 5-star Google reviews every week, by the dozens, and over 100 most weeks across the company. And it's filled with just so many stories of these customers that say, I go to this VIP because I know Jimmy over at this VIP. I've been taking my cars there for the last 6 years, and I know he's always treated me right. And
mm.
it's really, I no longer fear having to bring my car to a garage. When I read a review like that and I hear stories from our customers like that, it helps me to know that, truly our people are not just improving their own lives from a career standpoint, but they're helping to make their customers' lives just a little bit easier and giving them some peace of mind.
Yeah. No, that's incredible. And I'll add to that because I've had a great experience at your Gorham location. Personally, they've taken care of me, and the customer service, even beyond just getting good quality work done, good down to earth people there, but the customer service and just kind of going the extra mile when things popped up that myself nor them expected, after some of that stuff has been incredible. So,
Yeah.
if I don't have stuff going on that needs to go to a dealership for a warranty or a recall issue, that's my place. And for everyone out there, Tim didn't pay me to say that. So so no, I really do. Again, that was another big reason why I wanted to chat with you, is because I personally have just seen this change, and
Yeah.
it's apparent. It's very, very apparent to me, just as a average consumer, before I even knew this change was taking place. So
Yeah.
kudos to you and everyone in your company for that.
Well, thanks for being a customer. We appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. So I've got two more questions here for you, Tim, that I like to ask every guest. They aren't trick questions, and there's no right or wrong answers, but I just love hearing some insight from all these incredible people I get to talk to. So the first question is, what is your definition of strength?
My definition of strength is, the first word that comes to my mind is resiliency.
Mm,
Um, there's a video that has came out recently, a few months ago, that I showed to all of our managers during our annual meetings. And for any of the listeners, and Dr. Phil, if you haven't seen it, I'd encourage you to look it up. Uh, it's on YouTube, and you'll find it if you type in "handle hard better."
okay.
And there's a basketball coach, the women's basketball coach at Duke University,
Mm,
and it was one of her staffers, I think, who was recording her as she was sort of giving her team a talk during a practice. And she goes on about talking about how, you know, everybody thinks things are going to get easy. Things are never easy.
Mm,
You just learn how to handle hard better.
mm,
And she goes on for a few minutes, and I tell you, I get goosebumps every time I watch this video, and I've seen it 20 or 30 times. And handling hard better, being resilient. Life's not easy, and there's
mm,
not much in life that's easy. And so to me, strength is just that ability, that resiliency. Sometimes I've said to my kids, when we've been talking about something, and maybe somebody, they tell me a story of somebody who maybe is not handling something that's really hard, and I say to them, you know what, they need to build up some calluses.
yeah.
I mean, that's that life is gonna cause you to have to kind of get tough in some areas. And so to me, that's what I think of when you ask me what strength means, is that
Mm,
internal resilience, that ability to say, you know what, I know things are going to be hard. It's not always going to be easy, but I also know that I'm going to be able to get through it. I've been through something like this before,
mm,
or I just know, for me, my faith is a big part of that, my family, and the pillars in my life that I lean on when I need that strength. But at the end of the day, it's about being resilient and knowing that it ain't easy, but I know I can get through it.
yeah. No, it's yeah, yeah. It's really about, it's not about the adversity we face, kind of how we respond to it, right? That's the
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
No, that's fantastic. Awesome. And then the last question I have for you, Tim, is what is your true purpose in life?
Be reunited with my family in heaven. So that's my true purpose. That's how I live my life. It's my faith is a big part of how I was raised, and how my wife and I live our life today. So,
Mm,
when I even in the job I do at VIP and leading that team, and how we invest in them, and you can find little footprints, if you will, fingerprints of
mm,
of a faith journey throughout what we do. We're not an overtly Christian company. We're not even a mildly Christian company in terms of being Christian, or
mm,
in that way. But the things that I learned growing up from my parents and my church, and from Jesus Christ and the way He lived, that permeates through how I try to live my life, and how I try to treat people,
mm,
and how I try to be humble, and how I try to just do what's right in every moment for everyone else around me, and try to take the heart of a servant. And so for
mm.
me, that's me living out what I feel like is my purpose while I'm here on earth.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, Tim, I commend you for living out your true purpose, and living for that true purpose, and thank you so much for sharing all these things. I think there's just so many great lessons for people in there, whether they are uh, owning or running or managing some sort of a business, and can take some tidbits there, or even just as we lead ourselves in life, really figuring out what it is that we need to be our best for those around us. I think there's some great lessons there. So I really appreciate your time, and thank you so much for coming on and sharing those insights with us.
Absolutely. I appreciate you having me on, Dr. Phil.
Awesome. Yes. Yes, of course. Happy to have you. And thank you all out there for listening. I encourage you to go check out your local VIP. I've had great experiences. All those 5-star reviews out there back me up a little bit here too. And I'll definitely try to get the YouTube link to that video that you mentioned.
Handle hard better.
Handle hard better. We'll try to throw that in the show notes so that people can look that up, and we'll also have VIP's website in the show notes, so you can find that store near you, and help support a local company that is trying to do th- bigger things in their communities, and do more than just make money. And that's pretty apparent here in this conversation today. So thanks again, Tim, and thank you all out there for listening and watching.
Absolutely. Thank you.